So today I thought I'd have a little bit of a chill day watching the new Amazon Rings of Power series. But the classic WoW server situation is getting spicier and spicier by the day. In fact, the situation is pretty diabolic, so I thought I'd definitely have to make a video about it, voice the complaints from the community, and hope that Blizzard will actually see the video and do something about it. I will also actually send this video to a community manager also. By the way guys, you might be pretty surprised to know that only 21.7 people who watch my videos actually subscribe to the channel. Slightly better than last time I made a video. So we are definitely crawling up very slowly, and I definitely do appreciate it guys, but most channels have about 30 to 40%. So do me an absolute solid guys, subscribe to the channel, you'll get loads of subscriber only content as well. But anyway, let's jump in. So if you have absolutely no what idea I'm talking about, you're probably one of the lucky people who's not on a server that's overpopulated, and you're probably wondering what on earth the crack is. Well, people are waiting over 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours, to even log into the game and play it. I think the funniest thing that's come out of this situation is the satirical website that has emerged called the multibillion-dollar-company.com, which just absolutely cracks me up. Effectively what this does is it tracks the queue on the Benediction server, one of the biggest servers for the US region, and as you can see at its worst it was a 387 minute queue. That's 6 hours and 27 minutes, and that's 15,000 players, 15,000 people are trying to log into the game. Actually guys, this is a little bit of a post edit. I scrolled a little bit further down that page and the queue was actually 6 hours and 55 minutes at its peak. Look at this screenshot that was posted on my Discord from one of my fans. 4 hours in a 12k queue. He's actually cancelled his subscription because, you know, when he gets home from work, by the time he logs into the game, it's time to go to bed. I also decided to look at the queue for Feckled. Now, this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon guys. The queue is 363 minutes. 12,000 people trying to get into the server, so obviously people were way more interested in fresh servers than people originally thought. But let's try and get to the bottom of this. You know, what has caused this to happen? Well, obviously Blizzard have drastically underestimated the hype and volume of increased players that the pre-patch has brought. Something to be a little bit scared about guys is this is the pre-patch, not the Wrath of the Lich King launch. Yeah, I think when Wrath is about to launch, I'm not going to log out for like a week. This is very reminiscent of the classic World of Warcraft launch. There now simply isn't enough servers to accommodate the player base. I mean, servers themselves, as a design concept, they're very dated. You know, we've seen this with new MMOs that have come and gone, like New World. It started with many different servers, and it has now consolidated down to very little servers. It's understandable why smarter MMO companies like the Elder Scrolls Online have opted for a mass server design. I mean, yeah, you lose that close-knit community that you have on a little server, but at the end of the day, people don't want to sit in a server queue for hours before being actually able to play the game. I think it's a good trade-off. Personally, I think there are a number of ways Blizzard could have mitigated these issues from happening. If you're going to have an archaic server design, at least optimize and nurture it to be the best system it can be. Definitely needs some tender, loving care. Servers need constant attention, moderation, and adjustments to maximize player enjoyment. In this case, they need all of the above just for people to be actually able to experience the game in the first place. Especially as the advancement of remote desktop software has exacerbated the issue even further. I mean, many YouTubers, including myself, have promoted these kind of products as a way to log into the game early to get into that queue early, and hopefully it will be done by the time that you get home. A number of people in my Discord have actually told me that they're using software like this. Now, problem is it's making the queues bigger and it's making them slower. But at the end of the day, what can you do? You can either partake in this practice or not play the game, and therefore not get your money's worth £10 a month that you're paying for the subscription fee. So what can Blizzard actually do to fix an already pretty flawed system? Well, firstly, they definitely should have made a fresh server without any restrictions. A fresh server where you don't actually have to start from fresh, and you can transfer a character from any existing server. And obviously it should be free, not a paid service. This will mean the fresh server could be nicely populated with a decent amount of people and communities from all the different servers, and it would lower the traffic going onto the already overpopulated servers. And I think a few people probably would appreciate the opportunity to start from fresh without having to literally start from level 1. You definitely wouldn't get as a good economy reset on that server, because obviously the transfer itself would have a gold cap and people would be able to bring gold onto this server. But nonetheless, you know, if it was taking me 6 hours to log into my server, I probably definitely would take that option. And to be honest, you don't even need to make a fresh server for people to transfer onto, because obviously it does run the risk of it dying, you know, later in Wrath of the Lich King's lifetime when the inevitable player drop-off will happen. For EU, there's already a low-populated server called Ashbringer that people should be given free transfers to, but I just checked and you can't. The free transfers currently only go to a dead RP server called Hydraxian Warlords and Mograine, a high-populated PvP server for some reason, which really does not make any sense. Another rather large issue that has inevitably and rather predictably happened with these fresh servers is everyone has crowded onto one fresh server rather than splitting evenly between the two fresh servers. So there's one very high-populated server with an insane queue like I showed before, and then the second server will likely die by phase 3. The very easy solution to this is to actually add incentives to transfer onto this lower populated server. For instance, they could provide an extra experience buff all the way up to 100% increased experience for people who transfer onto the lower populated fresh server, or just give it to everyone on the lower populated fresh server. This would definitely encourage people sitting for hours and hours in a server queue to go and jump onto that lower populated server. Because right now there isn't that much of an incentive, because, you know, you're going to have to start all over again. And people have already, you know, probably leveled a few levels. To encourage people to transfer from one of the mass servers, well, that's more difficult because people already have guilds and communities set up. And obviously an experience boost would definitely not be good enough to encourage people to transfer, because most people already have max characters. Unless they were going to tell people who transferred from the mass servers to a low populated server that they can keep the Joyous Journeys buff for the Wrath of the Lich King launch. They could also do something like a little discount on the character boost for people who do use the free transfer service. Or they could give something like epic flying and dual spec discounted. The problem is it's probably a little bit too late, because people on fresh servers are already level 70, so they don't really care about an extra experience buff. They've already got level 70 character, and people currently on the mass servers probably already have dual spec and epic flying. And you can't just give people gold for changing server, can you? Because that would just ruin the economy. But perhaps, I think allowing free transferred characters to keep that level 50% increased XP boost all the way for the Wrath of the Lich King launch, you know, up until level 80. I think that would at least be a good enough incentive to get people transferring off the mass servers and onto the potential fresh server that people can transfer onto all the low populated servers currently already for the regions. But at the end of the day, it's not rocket science, is it? If you want people to like transfer from an overpopulated server onto a low populated one, you actually have to give them a good incentive. But Blizzard doesn't really do this. I mean, in the past, private servers have done it to incentivize people to change faction, and it normally does work fairly well. They could also do something like increase rep gains for people who do use a free character transfer for up to 6 months. There's so many different things that Blizzard could do. The point being is just giving people a free transfer definitely isn't enough, because people want to stay with their guilds. But anyway guys, that's where I'm going to end the video there. My name is MetaGoblin. Until the next video, ciao.